Castleton set out the team of rescuers on their last bid to save Neil Moss. The young man was trapped far in Peak Cavern, a mile and a half from the entrance, 1,000 feet underground. Perhaps the oxygen cylinders would keep him alive and give the rescuers time to make new attempts. Urged by the spirit of adventure, Neil Moss, young, full of promise, lost his life.
When was the last time you saw a video on YouTube describing the way someone has died in a cave? Because I'm willing to bet that it wasn't too long ago. Videos describing the way people have died in caves are rising, and I want to provide a caver's insight to see if they are truly representing the sport of caving or not. I'm Elise Freshwater-Blizzard, a television presenter of all things weird and wonderful. I'm currently in training to be a cave leader and have about 7 years of caving experience. Caving is a sport that is very safe when everyone in the group is prepared for any circumstance that may happen. It will include climbing, wading through water, going in small spaces, abseiling down large spaces, and of course, making friends. Now, whilst I want to critique in this video, in no way am I saying these types of videos don't deserve a place on the internet. Every creator has worked hard to do what they do, and I'm in praise of their efforts. I'm just investigating them from my own standpoint. Death. It's a mystery that has fascinated people for years. It sparked up the minds of the greatest thinkers like Seneca and Epicurus, conjured religious theory about where we go to afterwards, and it's even inspired terms such as YOLO. But it's something about the cave death that has recently captured the world's interest. Caves are well known to be dark, cold, perhaps even tight. These conditions are inhospitable for us humans and sets perhaps the most frightening scene possible, since you're cut off from the modern world. Perhaps that's why we are fascinated with the idea of Plato's cave, or the idea you could become entombed within one, just like Jesus did. Dying above ground is a scary thought enough, but you have a pocket of comfort knowing that an ambulance could be there in 5 minutes. However, getting badly injured in a cave leads you to very little hope of getting any professional medical help in hours. Cave rescue are still a charity and rely on volunteers that may be asleep when you need them imminently. Plus, you're in a tight space. The constriction of movement might make one feel that they could live if only they were in a more roomy passage, or at worst, not upside down. If you've been binge watching these videos, I'm here to reevaluate them with you. I want to relieve you of this feeling and give you a more balanced perspective. Now, I can't take back the fact that people have died in mortifyingly scary situations, but we'll discuss that too. You see, most of these dying in a cave videos are not done by cavers, and the people making these videos have never experienced the underground or knew the people that died. I will be using the term caver throughout, since the term spelunking is an Americanism that we don't use here in the UK. Now, a good video about someone's life and death will reflect their decisions and respectfully portray the truth about them as close as possible, which might not always be in positive light. Without further ado, let's jump on in.
Apologies for the less than perfect audio in that last segment. And also, something that we must address is the fact that I'm about to watch something that is not intended for me. For I'm not the target audience on this one. And perhaps that's why I'm so excited to watch these. But let's begin with John Jones. From my own experience, the name John Jones gets thrown around an awful lot by non-cavers, and specifically targeted towards cavers actually. And the video I'm watching today is from Horror Stories and rests at 15 million views. That's a lot of people. John Jones, as a quick overlay if you have not seen this video, is a a man who died in a cave, obviously, whilst exploring a tight passage and ended up dying fatally upside down. Rest in peace, of course. Off the bat, the thumbnail has a picture of the man who's died in the video, and I think, yeah, you've ticked that box, that's great. And it's of him doing something that he loved to do. I've looked at his obituaries, and yes, he liked to, not frequently, but he did cave in his youth, and he went back to it on the off chance as an adult. So big marks for that, that's good. And also, throughout the whole video, the creator uses images of the situation or of John Jones. So also top marks for that. Now, the actual widow of John Jones gave permission for a whole movie to be made about this situation. And therefore, I think that this is probably the most respectful video on any cave death on the internet. And the reason being is that the permission is already there to just tell the story. So that's allowed. However, I understand from every other single creator that getting permission like that is incredibly difficult. And I tried to do that myself in this video. And it was really difficult to find the family and ask. Not only to actually track them down, but actually psychologically, like, that's a really tough thing to ask somebody, isn't it?
Cave exploring, also called spelunking or potholing, is a pastime made for risk-seeking adventurers who aren't afraid to trek through some of the darkest, most unmanageable places on Earth.
Thanks. You're really, like, inflating my ego up right there. Honestly, I just go in holes. It's not that big a deal, and it's not that dangerous if everyone knows what they're doing and is prepared for every single eventuality.
Exploring a natural cave system and conquering its obstacles is just another exhilarating way for these adventurers to push their potential and feel closer to Mother Nature. But as with all dangerous hobbies, the chance of death is always looming.
Okay, right there we've got our first red flag. The chance of death is always looming. Woo! It doesn't feel that way when you're doing a 10-minute trip in and out of a cave that you've done about 500 times before, and it's just walking in and out. You'll still have safety precautions, you know, like if I'm not out within half an hour, you can call cave rescue. But not every trip is like that. Not every trip feels like really this intense danger. I do get how some trips that last 5 hours or so, or if you're in a different country where there is no cave rescue, that would be terrifying if you overthought that. But on the majoritively, caving doesn't feel that way at all, because all the cavers I know have come out alive, and we've been doing this for years and years and years. But I have to thank you, because you do make me sound like a really awesome adventurer, so thanks. Just before we move on from that comment, here's the thing about the danger around caves, and this is a thought that I've come up with myself. There is way more danger in caves psychologically than physically. And physically, most of the time, nearly, every time, you'll come out safe and you'll have had a great trip. But there are many, many times that I think, and this is something that cavers don't discuss quite as much, but certainly in my time, there have been a few moments where I have received trauma when I'm like, okay, that was actually really terrifying, the series of events that happened. And even though I was safe, I felt so unsafe in that situation, and it was not okay. And I think a lot of cavers will resonate with me when I say, yeah, there have been some past things where I felt, wow, that was really close, but it was fine, Also, I should mention there are about 12 call-outs for cave rescue a year in Britain. So of all the things that could go wrong in a cave. If it does go wrong, it's really scary. But of all those 12 callouts, most of them are people that have gone in the cave and come out late because they didn't manage their time correctly. Or it could be that they have sprained an ankle and they can't get out, they need help. Or there's a dog in the cave that needs saving because the dog's accidentally wandered in and cave rescue's been called. So a lot of the time, statistically, it's not as scary and it's not as dangerous as one might think. But psychologically, it's a very different scene. So yeah, this is probably hypocrisy that you've already caught on to. Me saying, no, it's safe, but then something might happen and then it's terrifying. Yeah, both can be true. Both can be true at the same time. It feels, that's just from my perspective. And I kind of get what this person is saying, that even an expert can get something just a little bit wrong. You can place a foot wrong somewhere and it could cost you your life. And I will not deny that throughout this video. But the chances of that happening are extremely low. However, they have happened with the Welsh cave rescue that happened last year, 2021, which was where somebody did place their foot just in the wrong position, not their fault whatsoever, and the rock tumbled beneath them. When I first started caving, there was a phrase that was passed around a lot, which said something like, the most dangerous part of your caving trip is the drive home. And that's because, not only is everyone tired and it might be dark and you're on the road, but it sounds like a silly statement. There are more car accidents per year and deaths in cars a year than in caves, which sounds silly because there are more people in cars in a year than people that go caving. But it is true that the act of getting in a car does feel more dangerous than going caving if you think about it statistically and not if you think about it emotionally. In terms of story building, this video does a really good job. The music is not too overwhelming. It's not scary. It's just eerie, which is all right, I guess. For such a tragic story, I don't think it actually needs that kind of music. And they've even included a picture that is obviously not John Jones, and they've actually put, this is not a picture of John Jones. In the thumbnail, we have a picture of John himself, Mr. Jones, not wearing a hard hat, wearing one light that doesn't look like a caving light. So cavers actually have a specific light they like to use. But here's what I want to talk about. Here's the problem with this. See, it wouldn't be a problem. Like, I don't have a problem with people doing that because it's not my responsibility to keep everybody safe, is it? How can all the cavers try to protect people that just want to go in and have fun with one light? Oh goodness. Here's the problem. This is where the YouTube audience is thinking, right, that's every single caver. Like, this represents every single situation in every single cave, and every caver will probably go through this in their lifetime. They'll be going down a passage like John did, and they'll be wearing what John was, and that's not true. That's, from a caver's perspective, this seems a bit irky to me already, and we haven't even gotten into the video properly yet. So here's also the discrepancy of what I was talking about earlier, in the fact that I don't know. I might not know what I'm talking about here, folks, and that's okay. I looked at the film and he is wearing two lights and he is wearing a hard helmet. So it could have been a creative decision from the director, or maybe that's exactly how it happened. This is the thing about these YouTube videos, is that they are just YouTube videos. And if you weren't there, if you weren't close to the members, then you shouldn't really be judging so much, which is another point I want to get across. It's really hard to judge a YouTube video, but also try not to judge the situation. So please be mindful of me doing that.
John picked a waist-high hole to explore and went in head first.
Now, here's the thing about this, is that because we're not this person and we weren't there, we don't know all of their calculations that they were creating in their head to, maybe he judged it right. Maybe he did do all the right things. But on the outside looking in, I have to say that I would never pick a waist-high hole and go head first into it, because that genuinely terrifies me. The thing is that in the video, it talks about him actually not knowing this part of the route and then going in alone, which, yeah, no, I couldn't do that alone. Now, I've been in bits of caves alone or away from the group, but when I'm away from the group, I almost watch myself with a beady eye and make sure, like, what am I doing? Everything is a second guess, because it's my safety. But again, it makes me think that perhaps these non-cavers are looking at this thinking, all right, this is what cavers do all the time. They go in upside down into holes, and it's not true. We don't really. We don't. As I've said, who am I to judge? I feel like I have no legitimacy upon this situation or this video whatsoever. In fact, this video wasn't even intended for me, was it? It was intended to make people feel anxious before they go to bed. And in that way, it's been created as a story to story tell. So it's got all this music in the background to make you feel tense, and for that reason, it's done very well, and it has been done respectfully. However, this is a series of decisions that I think were just bad decisions, and I really hate saying that because it sounds like victim blaming. But if I don't say that, then people will think that all caving is like this. All caving isn't like this. And perhaps the worst thing about this whole situation is that we can't learn anything from it. We can't ask him what he was thinking and what was running through his head. I really hope that this has come across respectfully myself, because this is probably one of the hardest videos I've ever had to do, and so I want his tragic death to have the full respect. And below I have linked an article about the widow who has recently had an interview and talked about this again, and I think it was a really beautiful read, and you should check it out. And to put a final point on it, I think some of these videos, including this one, is trying to drive home a point that even John Jones wouldn't have agreed with. Even though he doesn't, from what I've read on his obituary, it doesn't seem like that he's a caver. It seems like, well, he had caves in his area, in his hometown, and he used to go in there sometimes as a kid, and then he kind of went back. And so it would seem that he did enjoy it, and he liked the thrill of adventure. And I think that he would, as I think the obituary did say, he would like to promote adventurous sport to anyone. And the scaremongering of caving is so prevalent, and I don't think he would have agreed with that. But then again, I'm going to reiterate this as many times as possible. I did not know this person. I didn't know anyone around the event. I was not there. And I have nothing to do with it. So I just wanted to critique the video that was being made on it. Just before we get on to the next one, I was going to go on my first ever caving trip ever, and then I watched this video and almost didn't go. So none of the past 7 years of my life would have been the same if I kind of watched that video and thought, that's going to happen to me tomorrow if I go caving. I should not. And I was already really scared for it. So it does affect people more than you'd think. And I think people should know that not all caving is like this. Not all caving? People should know that caving isn't like this. boy, we are about to go into a little bit of a different territory here with caving gone wrong. Oh my god. So, what happens when a tragic event gets posted online? Well, it gets clicks, and people will come up with creative ways to get clicks, and this is one of those ways. Caving gone wrong, tragic event, and words will be highlighted or put in capital letters to get your attention, or to tell a story about someone's death. Hey, now I remember this story quite well because I remember where I was when I was reading the first descriptions that came out, and I have talked to a few people that knew the person who passed away in this video. Now, I don't think that this creator has asked for the permission of this video to be put online. Why? Because one of the passed away person's friends talked to me about it and said that it didn't seem right, if you know what I mean. Now, this means a lot. Because this happened like really recently, I think 2019, and it has obviously not had any permissions from the family, the friends, anyone that was close to the person that died in the video. I will not be mentioning the victim's name, and I will be bleeping them out. And in that respect, all the photos that are used in here and the clickbait title, along with this scary font writing in the thumbnail, it just seems wrong to me. Now, again, a creator can have their right to make a video. Do you have a right to make a video? I guess you do, just as much as I'm making this one now. I mean, people might think that this one is disrespectful, and if so, God, I'm sorry. But this seems like it's beginning to cross that line, and I wanted to ease into this topic slowly, if you will. Should probably mention, just before I carry on, if any of the friends or family are watching, I just want to give my condolences.
When he lost his footing and fell into the darkness below.
Already starting off with scary music to really highlight how scary this is going to be. Again, I know I'm not the intended audience, but they really hype it up with, wow, this is going to be a really scary story. Somebody real passed away in this video, and their friends and family might be watching, and it's all been done without their permission. I'm pretty sure about that. Which I think just makes it worse. Oh my God. Now, it says that the victim lost their footing at the beginning of the video, so keep that in mind, because I'm going to use that for evidence later. The beginning of this video, this person, the creator, goes into the victim's former life, who with family pictures of which includes pictures of children hanging out with this victim, and family pictures, etc. And it seems weird. Like if I were to pass away in a cave and somebody made a video of me, I'd find that really, really, well, my family would find it really weird. Like, oh, they've used pictures of us on their YouTube video. That's super creepy. This is also a really good point in the video to say, please, for the love of God, do not go over to these other channels and bully them or harass them, or that's not what this is about. And I would hope that my audience is kind enough to not do that, especially as you guys know that I've also been through a lot of internet bullying, and my oh my, is it gut-wrenchingly awful. So don't even do that. Don't even go there. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So when I first came across this video, none of the images in it were blurred, but now since, the creator has gone back to blur some of the images because they were copyrighted. And this is what this is part of the problem I had with this video, is that this person is using lots of images and pictures of caves that have nothing to do with this event, to the point where it gets very comical. So we have, in part of it, we've got, where is it? I'll find it. Pictures of like happy cave rescue training events. And then there are pictures of, I believe, is it the Gaping Gill winch meet? I think there was some of Caver Keith's videos in here too. I think that's what Caver Keith has done. He's gone in and copyrighted it. But honestly, like, if you're going to do that, give credit to the creator. But also, it's, again, misrepresenting caving in kind of a very odd way, if I may say so myself.
Suddenly, the rope he was attached to completely came out of the stone that he'd hammered it into.
Oh my god. See, look, they're using pictures of cavers having fun to denote, like, this guy died. A person died here. Say it again, babe. Say it again.
The rope he was attached to completely came out of the stone.
The rope he was attached to completely came out of the stone it was hammered into. Was that right?
That he'd hammered it into.
Oh my lord. Okay, again, please message me. I'll explain everything. It's okay. Right, so at the beginning, he lost his footing. If you remember that very correctly.
When he lost his footing and fell into the darkness below.
Now you're saying that the rope that's hammered into the wall came out. And again, I feel like I'm nitpicking here. But also, it drives a point home that I want to make, that these videos are made for your entertainment. The video music is really, really scary, and it's meant to make you feel afraid. It's meant to make you keep watching so that this person gets more views, more clicks, more likes, more subscribers, more money. Okay? Let's just put that out there. And hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone likes to earn a bit of money doing something they find fun and creative. But I'm here just to lay down a little bit of the law in a certain degree, I guess. Ropes are not hammered into the rock. Bolts are... they're not even hammered into the rock, I'm sorry. Bolts are hammered into the rock. They're not. They are placed into the rock, and we use, depending on what type of bolt, there are many different types of bolts you can use. One example is by using glue, and this hard glue is then placed into a hole which you've drilled in, and then you put the bolt in. Now, the thing about bolts is that they are very, very safe, and it's taken me a long time to be able to get used to them because I'm still dead scared of falling. I also want to say that it's fine that a non-caver can make this content. Again, this content is not made for cavers. I'm just here. That was a nice voice break. Once they are placed in, I think they can hold about, I can't remember, but it's a lot. It's like 90 tons. Is that right? All the cavers are like, oh, no, that's wrong. I'm sorry. They can hold basically a car. And same with the rope. A good strong rope will hold a car easy. So you don't have to be afraid of being too heavy for a bolt or anything like that. They're also then tested. They're not just put in willy-nilly and they're like, well, they're good to go now. They're then actually tested with machinery, and then after the bolts are put into the walls, you've also got malleons, we call them. We then put them in, and then the rope threads through, we knot them through. 2 bolts, always have 2 bolts. We never use 1 bolt, because if that goes, then that goes. You know, we're always thinking about the bad stuff that could happen in caves. So we premeditate our decisions. So 2 bolts. So if one goes, the other's going to probably hold us. But even then, it will be connected with a 3rd bolt down the line somewhere, you know. So But the fact that this person has given, the creator has given conflicting stories, tells me they probably saw the inquest and tried to piece together in their mind what could have happened without a caver's knowledge. Again, this video was not made for me. I'm not the target audience, and who cares about me nitpicking into videos that people like to watch late at night to scare themselves. But this video essay is to demonstrate that there are videos out there that you're probably taking as the entire truth. And even though I don't know the entire truth, I know that they are not also the entire truth. Hi, it's Elise from the future, and I just want to say that this is not the only creator doing this. So again, please do not, if you have figured out who it is, don't go to their channel and give them any harassment. But the creator I'm talking about in the weeks that I've made this video has since deleted the videos that I'm talking about. So either perhaps the family did get through to them in the end, or they realize perhaps they can do these videos better and more respectfully. Who knows? The same creator made a video about a child who passed away, and this is such a tragic video for me to be making, and I just want to gloss over this bit because I feel really uncomfortable. I feel really uncomfortable with making this whole video, if I'm being honest. But I feel like it had to be said. It has to be said. They made a video, this creator made a video about a child's death. And on YouTube, if you make a video about a child or with images of children in them or for children, you're not allowed to have any comments. That's just the way it goes, for safety reasons. And in the comment section in this person's video, they kept saying oh, YouTube keeps taking down my video and it keeps deleting the comment section, and I don't know why, so I keep uploading it. And I feel like the creator isn't giving due diligence to what the victims are actually going through when they're scrolling through YouTube, and they might suddenly see their own son or daughter's picture with scary writing over the picture and a clickbait thumbnail. This is not okay. This is going to bring us to our next section, which I'm going to call the ugly. Exploiting death for views. Haven't we all done it? Haven't we all done it? This is the new YouTube game, by the way. The scarier the situation, the more clicks you'll get, the more money you might make. But you've got to sacrifice a few things to do it. Your morals. Okay, and I also want to put out there, if I ever die in a cave, could you never ever make a video on it unless you know me? That would be great. Thank you. I've seen thumbnails where you take a lovely picture of somebody having fun in a cave, but it turns out this person passed away in that said cave. So what they did is take this lovely picture of them having fun and then edit it so the blood is running out of their eyes, and then they've got a stitched smiley face. You disgust me. You know that. It's disgusting. Another one has is about a tragic event that happened where a group of cavers drowned in a flash flood in a cave. Sorry, it's really tough to talk about this. This is the heavy end of the video. I'm sorry that I'm being slow, but the cavers died all of them died, and they used that incident, and then they took a picture of a floating kind of corpse skull in a cave, and you disgust me so much you wouldn't even know. But then the audacity to the on top of this really, really tragic event that's happened, to then put a clickbait title and really scary font writing in the thumbnail, and then put really stereotypically scary music throughout your video to make it seem even worse than it is. And to know that all of this is perhaps making money for you, making views, you're using somebody else's death for your own betterment, if you see it that way. But I think that is disgusting, and I really think that you've wronged us all. It's funny because at the beginning I was like, no, it's okay, they're doing it respectfully, they want to tell a story, that's all they want to do. Like, if they want to tell a story to an audience that wants to hear a scary story, who am I to stop them? But then it becomes this game of how much money could I make from somebody that I don't know who died tragically, and maybe their family members will see them. And can I just say, there are 7,000 cavers in the UK. There aren't that many, and we kind of all do know each other, and we talk, we don't like this. It's not a good thing. We have family members will see this. It's pretty, there's a chance they could. And Christ, they are making money off of not only a tragic event, but also your deepest fears. And really think about it, where you put your attention. So your attention is money, right? So you decide to click on a video, and that's your 20 minutes gone for the day. And each single second you have your attention on that video is money to somebody else. And if your attention is money, you really need to decide where you put that attention, which is why I've decided to not watch these videos. Sorry. I won't watch these videos and review them for you. The thumbnails are enough. Really. Oh, thank God that's over. Thank God. Right.
Number 3. The Lodge.
Okay, so the comment sections are just as interesting. The comment sections will go into how the victim is completely to blame. And yeah, I did discuss earlier how somebody made a series of bad decisions, which can be done. But the comments will go kind of all out. They won't hold back. And it's almost like the video is harboring this. It wants this. It wants you to feel scared and to victim blame. And perhaps it's something like, this is the type of thinking they're thinking. Well, I'm never going to be in a cave anyway, so I'm going to write something like, who would ever even want to go caving? It's a disgusting sport. Nobody should go caving. You are to blame. If you decide to go in a cave, how dare you? You died, it's your fault. And the blaming is really horrific. The thing is that people are blaming caving for this, and if they were blaming caving and were correct for blaming caving, then I would already be gone, and all of my friends would be gone, and they've been caving for the past years and years, 25 years, and some of them even longer than that. So it's an odd one to me. It's funny because earlier I felt really horrible in myself for having to say, well, it's a series of bad decisions. But the comments are like, no, this person is awful. They did it all wrong. And it's a bit overwhelming. It's funny because I don't see this victim blaming anywhere else. For instance, in rugby, there's a strong evidence that backs up that if if you play rugby a lot and you get hit a lot in your head, then it can have some serious damage later on in your life. And so if we know that, why aren't we blaming rugby players for their decision to play rugby? Whoa, that would be too much, because they're not dying from it. But it's to me, it feels oddly the same. And we have a lot of people age. Is age blaming the right term? I don't know, but one of the victims was in their 80s in one of the videos I reviewed, and a lot of the people were saying that this person was awful, and some comments being really mean and calling him names and saying that he was wrong to do this and stupid because of his age. However, I see it differently. If I meet an 80-year-old, 70-year-old, 80-year-old, that kind of caver, I think, wow, like, my respects to you, sir. Hats off. You're incredible. Instead of staying at home and doing what most people do that age, aka not doing any sport whatsoever, this person has kept going, and to die doing what you love as well. My God, like, there's something poetic and beautiful in a way about pursuing what you love, even towards your later stage of life, rather than holding back because you think age should be a restriction. However, the comments are very the opposite. They're like, how dare this person, need to be rescued at such an old age? And they're also saying that the cave, they're selfish. They're selfish for wanting to do the thing they love, because then Cave Rescue has to go in, and that means Cave Rescue are risking their life. Well, here's the thing. Cave Rescue aren't risking their life. They're really not. They're so well trained. The only cave rescue deaths on record are those that have gone cave diving, not caving, that I've looked through. Now, cavers, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I really did go through a lot of research for this video, and I couldn't find any cave rescuer that died on a mission. Here's the thing that people are not talking about whatsoever, is this not the physical danger, but the psychological danger that cave rescue go through. That's the scary thing. No, because imagine you get a call out and you've been told your best mate is in a cave and needs help. Now, how much more scary is that psychological setting? And perhaps, dragging bodies out. That's something cave rescue do, and to deny that would be a lie. So that's what we're dealing with here. It's this really big psychological toll, which I think is almost far more dangerous. I don't know, maybe that I take that back. It's not. But so I do admit there is a lot of trauma around these types of events, but not in the way that people are actually speculating there is. And the comment sections have gone completely wild and feral with people that think they know everything about caving based on the video they've seen, when in reality, now, caving is never going to be 100% safe, and we've probably already worked that out. I just wanted to let you know that I did not make this video to persuade you to go caving. I didn't. I've made this video to tell you that it's not all berries and cream on these YouTube videos. They're not always the truth. So, hey, quick note, if you're enjoying this video, feel free to leave a thumbs up or a subscribe. If you want to support me on my presenting journey and want to leave a tip for the work I do, then head on over to my Patreon. I'm also an ambassador for Phoenix, otherwise known as Phoenix, my favourite light company. I use their head torches overground, but most importantly, underground, so you know that their products are battle tested and ready for action with good longevity. I've had an old model for about 6 years now, and it's never stopped working on me. And the new model I have, the HM70R, works a dream. flooding the cave with light and helping me make awesome bright videos underground just like this one. And now to debut my new book. My new book is called Walking Through Ground and is a poetry book based on the journey of healing through Sheffield, Derbyshire and beyond. Filled with memories and poems, this coffee table book will make any caver a happy caver. There will be more info to come on this, but for now, back to the video.
But our first case tonight is one which is causing grave concern. The disappearance of a schoolboy, Michael Bolton. Police believe his disappearance may be murder.
He'd been in care since he was 2, but he'd now settled in with his new foster parents and things seemed to be going well.
Michael was a quiet boy, a loner. Michael was trusting. He was very good with animals and our children, our young children. And he was also good with me. You know, we had a good relationship where, because of his past, had been quite traumatic. He'd been in quite a number of homes and they'd all broken down. So Michael coming to live with us was like a last resort. If it didn't work with us, he would stay in a children's home. And we'd got him to the fact where he would give me a kiss and a cuddle to go to bed at night, which for Michael was very good, because his problems were coming to terms with why everybody in his past had rejected him over the years.
Hi Michael, are you going to come and play football for us tomorrow night for the under-16s?
Oh, I don't know, I'm not very good at football.
Oh, of course you're good, you were brilliant on Friday. We couldn't have done without you.
Do you think so?
Yeah, really.
I don't know, I would have just been working all day.
Oh, OK then, we'll see what you can do. If you can make it, come to the car park for 5:30.
Yeah, all right, that's
OK,
all right.
Look forward to seeing you. OK, love, bye.
See ya.
Bye.
That was the last known conversation with Michael Bolton, though there were hundreds of visitors to Eyam that day and thousands in the Peak District who might have seen him. Were you there? Could you have seen Michael that Sunday on May the 7th, somewhere in the area?
Well, after 11 months, it must be said the police also fear the worst. Just in case, through some happy turn of events, Michael, you are alive, you are all right, you are watching this, please do call us yourself. You can speak to a BBC researcher if you prefer, and once we're really sure it's you, we won't bother you again, just so long as you're okay.
I'm in Stony Middleton. Stony Middleton in Derbyshire sits next to Eyam, the place where Michael Bolton was last seen before he went missing. What you've just seen is a programme called Crime Watch that released that segment about Michael Bolton 11 months after he was last seen, presumed dead. Right now I'm standing in front of a section of caves, one of which where some cave explorers went exploring 2 months after that Crime Watch release and found his body inside. Getting into these caves can be quite difficult and tricky even for the novice to get into. Just for example, I'm going to try climbing up the first section of this cave face now. So once onto the second tier, Michael Bolton, taking this path, would have had to have gone up this, and then another obstacle would await him. A wall, I would say, roughly 3 to 4 meters tall, that is not easy to climb, even for practiced climbers. However, he managed to get past this all the way to get into a cave that hardly anyone goes into. To get into Ivy Green, one must climb this bad boy right here. When approaching the climb to Ivy Green, you first notice that if you make any small mistake, you're not falling straight onto the same level you were as you started the climb, but you'd fall all the way back down to the bottom. Something is going to break. Ivy Green Cave is now level with me. I've been able to climb up here by going on the opposite side of the entrance.
However, there's a definite drop towards the entrance, so you can't just go straight in. You can see the hole here.
Newsletter number 74 from the Derbyshire Cave Rescue Association actually goes into great detail about how the search begun and how it reopened again. So originally they started searching for Michael Bolton just in case he might have gone down a pothole by accident. There had been a report that somebody had seen a boy, possibly Michael, sometime before his disappearance, dressed in muddy overalls and talking to a caver. With this in mind, DCRO teams searched all the caves in Stony Middleton. On the 28th May 1990, Michael's body was discovered by a party visiting the inner reaches of Ivy Green Cave. His remains were brought to the surface and he was buried at Eyam Church on the 9th of June 1990. He was found approximately 300 feet in, lying facing the entrance immediately beyond a tight squeeze over flowstone. It is quite impossible that he could have reached the place where he was found in any other way than by his own volition, but he had no equipment, and a careful search of the cave found no light that might have belonged to him. At present, it is not clear exactly how he died. An inquest later this year may throw some light on this, but there does not seem to have been any foul play involved. Ivy Green Cave is visited quite frequently, but the inner reaches are wet, muddy and quite tight in places. Nevertheless, if it had been suspected that Michael might have gone caving, all caves in the area would have been thoroughly searched in May 1989 and maybe would have been found. As it was, no one went as far into Ivy Green Cave for more than a year.
It would seem that this is a mystery that is unsolved. Although the inquest has put forward that this person died of hypothermia whilst in the cave, since caves are cold inside, this person was found within the cave system with no light source on them whatsoever, so they wouldn't have been able to see anything that they were doing. But they also managed to go through so much to get into the system, like a climb that was more than double their height, and at such a young age you have to wonder how on earth they got in the first place. If you've enjoyed this video, then please don't hesitate to support me in any way you can, be that a like, a subscribe, or you can head over to my Patreon. Thank you ever so much for my Patreons who make these videos worth it. It takes me a lot to get over here and get out here and get all this footage, so I appreciate that you guys enjoy my content so much. Thank you.
How many of you? 13? Yeah, 13. Brilliant.
Yeah. The first John Jones video was released back in 2017 and begun its climb to being a viral video. Since then, it's taken on a life of its own. Other videos have since tried to follow the success of this video with 15 million views. Perhaps they wanted that success too. Whilst the first John Jones video was a story told respectfully, it started a wildfire of copycats. These copycats over the years have begun using John Jones's name as clickbait, even if he is not in the video. It's as if John isn't a real person anymore, like he has no family, no identity. He's now just a meme, a creepypasta, if you will. And he's not the only one falling victim to more than just a tragedy. Many of the other victim stories are becoming a clickable title and a scary thumbnail, whilst all their family and friends can do is watch. An unintended victim, so to speak, of all of this is Corey Koalis, and I'm very sorry if I've said that name wrong, but he had his picture taken like this in a passage in Nutty Putty Cave where John Jones died, and now this picture is used all over the internet to the point where people think that it's John Jones. And I can't even imagine what this young explorer thinks about this. It's very strange. The more I looked at the data from cave rescue and the most documented incidents throughout those years, the more I realised that the people that were in these caves at the time of fatality, they were there by, it seems, truly accident. They didn't know how to go caving. They didn't really know how a cave reacts when in any conditions. They seemed to be there by mistake. It all seemed a bit like they weren't in the know about the local caves in the area. And that's something that I really want to put forward, is that the more knowledge you go in with, the better the outcome of your caving trip will be. You've got to know what you're getting yourself into. I mean, caves are completely inhabitable. Everything about a cave is trying to kill you. Even the air you breathe contains radon in it. And my God, I know about this. I've been studying it recently, and it's really, am I allowed to say this? It's kind of boring to study, but it's really important to study because, again, it's something that you should know. Everything in a cave feels like it's trying to kill you. Thank you. But once you know it, it's like, oh, okay, well then I can just monitor my radon intake by not going in this cave that has a really high level of radon in the summer and go in this cave that has a really, well, moderately to low amount of radon instead. When you pick an experience that is seemingly dangerous, it always comes with something that has a really, really big payoff. And for me, caving was always going to give me a big payoff in the way that it really enhanced my personality. Not that caving has become my personality, but to go caving, you have to have a level of responsibility that I think other sports just don't have. So, you know, you got to bring rope and bring all your kit, and it's like that with climbing. But then you've also really got to look out for each other, and you can't use your own ego in caving, because once you start thinking you're better than somebody else in caving, that's the point where the group crumbles and somebody gets hurt. That you can't have that. You have to work together seemingly well, even if you don't like each other overground. I'm not trying to entice you to go caving here, but I'm saying every sport has a really good thing about it, which balances out the not so great thing about it. And for caving, it's brought me into a world that is so beautiful. I've seen more stalactites of pure white than most people will ever see in their life. I've been to spaces that, yeah, they might have been a bit scary to get into, but there's something that probably not many other people will see in their lifetime. I've sung traditional caving songs at 3 a.m, gathered round a fireplace with my peers in the middle of the wilderness in a small caving hut. I've been in minecarts that are bigger than the room that I'm in. And throughout my time, I've slowly not conquered my fears. I've just got to know my fears and why they exist within me. And that's such a treasure to have that nobody can take away from you when you gain that experience. And for then to people on the internet to say, well, why on earth would anyone do this? This is absolutely insane. There is a reason for our madness. I promise you. These videos paint caving as some sort of death sport, when in reality we're a small bunch of well-connected people who love each other and save each other when and where we can, and we want each other to grow and prosper. There are only 7,000 of us, and we pretty much know each other very well. And we're all out here having the time of our lives. You know, we're all in this crazy concoction of underground madness. And that's something that a thumbnail or a video can never actually put across. And it's also a point to make that whilst non-cavers type their comments and view these as for fun, and they can click away from it and then not think about it for the rest of the day, these videos sit with us as cavers. They actually they can make us laugh for how absurd they become at points, and they can also make us feel sad because this stuff did happen. It's all very real to us, and it could happen to us again, and we don't want that. So the point of this video was to make you aware of this, but also I kind of hope that they're created more respectfully in the future, please. Please, please, please. Okay, just before we end this video, if you don't know how fast a cave floods, don't go in. If you don't know a cave system well, don't go in. If you don't have anyone with you that actually knows the system, don't go in. If you haven't come prepared for what the cave temperatures will be like, don't go in. If you've gone in thinking that you can climb out with your climbing equipment because you're an expert climber, oh my God, don't go in. And now, folks, it is time to say goodnight. I sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope I've given you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.
Death. It's a mystery that... Georgia!
The way that you say it is just so funny.
It's a serious topic. Don't do this to me.
Use the Superman pose. So I'm going to put my right hand through first, work my way through. Yep, that's very tight. Struggling to get my second hand out. That is difficult. Okay, I've got my hand out now. Once that hand's out, it's possible to crawl out. There you are. It's a pretty quick job as long as you've got the holes. But I have to say, it is very, very, very tight.